Hi Ruronis, this is your pal Ruroni K95 here. Today, here's my new movie series called Movies That Are Disappointing. For today, I'm going to be doing a new episode of movies that are disappointing. So, besides my movies that suck videos, because I needed something that, like, a little more understanding and challenges me as a person who hasn't done a rant on, the live-action movies that are adaptations based on anime. Like, for example, you got Guyver, or the live-action Guyver. You got the live-action terrible Speed Racer live-action movie, as well as the terrible live-action Devilman movie from 2004, as well as you got that horrible piece of shit live-action movie Dragon Ball Evolution. This is something what I had in mind for movies that are disappointing and terrible in its ways. Today I'm going to be talking about terrible live-action movies that are based on the live-action adaptation based on the anime. I'm talking about the 1995 live-action Fist of the North Star live-action with Gary Daniels, Costas Mandylor, and Chris Penn in that one. So the thing about this movie, I don't get it, because first of all, the live-action Fist of the North Star, oh my god, it was very disappointing in how terrible it is, because it's not like what you expect. Well, we all know Fist of the North Star was based on, the live action's based on the manga and the anime in the same name, takes place in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with the character named Kenshiro in the original anime and manga adaptation, fighting the bad guys and heads and bodies explode and blood and all, because Fist of the North Star had been spawned into a number of anime television series in the anime, as well as the OVAs, movies, and video games, including the spin-off, like the Legends of the Dark Kings, Fist of the North Star, as well as. But for now, I'm just probably just talking about the disappointing live-action train wreck of a live-action adaptation, because this movie was directed by Tony Randall, who did Hellbound, Hellraiser movies, because the thing about the live-action Fist of the North Star with Gary Daniels is probably, it's not what you expect, because, well, it did feature the actor who played Bat in the live-action Fist of the North Star. It's played by Dante Basco, who played Rufio in Hook with Robin Williams. And this did feature Malcolm McDowell in the live-action Trainwreck adaptation of Fist of the North Star. Well, I understand that, but this movie was kind of terrible in its way, and then they miscast a character because they originally wanted to have Robin Show to be in the live-action, but he was kind of busy with the live-action Mortal Kombat around the same year in 1995, but instead they casted Gary Daniels in the live-action adaptation of Fist of the North Star. But there's no other characters from the anime Fist of the North Star, like, you got Rei, Mamiya, and Rao from the Fist of the North Star anime, who wanted to be in it, but they were not included in the live-action version. But I understand that, but this one I have in my hand, this is kind of disappointing for the live-action adaptation based on an anime, especially the one with Gary Daniels and Costas Mandylor, and because, it's from the immensely popular Fist of the North Star manga series comes a hero. The fate of mankind rests with the superhuman warrior Kenshiro, who roams the wastelands of the future, waging a battle against overwhelming evil with the spiritual guidance of his dead father. Ryukin is played by Malcolm McDowell. Kenshiro is fight to free his stolen love, Yuria, played by the Japanese actress Isako Washio, from the brutal tyrant Lord Shin, played by Costas Mandylor from the Doors movie. Through his struggle, he must confront his destiny as Fist of the North Star, because the background in the post-apocalyptic setting is like you expect from Mad Max movies, especially the live-action adaptation Fist of the North Star. I mean, this one I have in my hand. Not the anime, no. I'm talking about the train wreck of a live-action adaptation like this one. The horrible train wreck of a live-action adaptation of Fist of the North Star, directed by a Tony Randall, who is the guy who did Hellbound Hellraiser 2. Oh yeah, and Tracy Walters in this movie, along with Clint Howard and Melvin Van Peebles in this movie. I mean, think of it. Robin Shaw was not in the Fist of the North Star live-action adaptation because Robin Shaw was kind of busy with Mortal Kombat in 1995, around the same year as the movie Fist of the North Star, the live-action adaptation. It never received responses from fans of the anime as well as the critics, and it never got a mainstream popularity for this disappointing live-action adaptation train wreck based on the popular anime and manga. It's not like how you would expect from the original Fist of the North Star anime, or as well as the manga. I mean, if you want to learn about this, I mean, think of it. The live-action Fist of the North Star is probably such a train wreck of a live-action adaptation based on the popular anime and manga. That's my point. Well, the thing is, to be fair, the Fist of the North Star live-action, we all know, has apocalyptic setting, and the character Lin in the live-action Fist of the North Star adaptation, when there's danger from Shin's bad guy henchmen who are fighting everything what they can get their hands on in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, Lin has her high-pitched scream mixed in with some other actor's voice, all reverb together. I mean, I understand that, but the live-action adaptation, think of it. It's how disappointing what the live-action adaptation of the Fist of the North Star live-action adaptation. Well, how did Bat die in the live-action Fist of the North Star? Because one of Shin's henchmen has killed Bat in the live-action Fist of the North Star. He did not die in the anime, but in the live-action he died because, he's played by the actor who did Rufio in the 1991 movie Hook. I mean, think of it. You got Tracy Walter in this movie because he's known in the Batman and Silence of the Lambs and anything else he's in, Conan the Destroyer. Oh, and Matilda. Anyways, back to the whole horrible thing about the live-action Fist of the North Star live-action adaptation. I mean, it was kind of disappointing. Well, I understand that. I mean, it was never received responses from the critics as well as fans of the original Fist of the North Star anime. So, particularly, the live-action adaptation of the Fist of the North Star, it was kind of disappointing. I mean, how did Kenshiro's lover Yuria gets to meet Kenshiro at the end after he defeats Shin? It's nothing what you expect from the anime. I mean, particularly the horrible live-action adaptation of Fist of the North Star. It was kind of a train wreck of a adaptation based on the anime. I mean, even though it's directed by Tony Randall, who is known for Hellbound Hellraiser 2, because this is probably triumph of his struggle, he must destroy his destiny as Fist of the North Star, the mystic guardian fated to fight for the right in the world, gone terribly wrong. I mean, he fights... As we all know, Gary Daniels played Kenshiro because Gary Daniels was a martial artist, fight coordinator, and he's an actor. What a miscast character! And how could the hair? When the character Kenshiro that Gary Daniels plays in the live-action version, it looked like he's stolen must have gotten the look from Robin's show in that one. Well, particularly Robin's show is kind of busy with the live-action Mortal Kombat movie around the same year as the disappointing live-action adaptation of Fist of the North Star is. So the disappointing thing about the live-action Fist of the North Star with Gary Daniels was directed by Tony Randall, who is the guy who did Hellbound Hellraiser 2, who wanted to cash in to make a disappointing live-action adaptation movie based on the anime and manga, especially Fist of the North Star, I guess. So the thing about the live-action Fist of the North Star adaptation, it has the English cast, besides Gary Daniels, the actor who played Bat also played Rufio in Hook. Well, also, because how could you expect a live-action adaptation based on an anime, make it as a horrible live-action adaptation based on a popular anime and manga, just to have a battle thing between Dragon Ball Evolution as well as many other terrible live-action adaptations. I mean, American actors playing Japanese characters in, particularly, live-action movies based on an anime. I mean, I understand that, but this is what you would not to expect. If you want to watch a true Fist of the North Star movie, stick with the anime from 1986. More action, more violence, and more gore, and it has a cool montage, the Heart of Madness montage, when Rei is fighting Rao in the 1986 Fist of the North Star anime movie, which came out in 1986, around the same year as the Transformers the movie and Urusei Yatsura movie 4, Lum the Forever. Anyways, back to the live-action adaptation of the Fist of the North Star live-action movie. Even though the Japanese version did have the original Japanese cast from the 1980s Fist of the North Star anime series, reprising their roles as the characters from the Fist of the North Star anime series in the Japanese version of the live-action adaptation of the Fist of the North Star movie, I guess. Because Wikipedia mentioned that the Japanese cast from the original 1980s Fist of the North Star live anime series reprised their roles in the train wreck of a live-action adaptation directed by Tony Randall, who did Hellbound Hellraiser 2, I guess. So that's my understanding rant on the live-action Fist of the North Star directed by Tony Randall that came out in 1995 for today's episode on movies that are terrible. So that's going to be it for my rant on Fist of the North Star live-action adaptation for today's episode on movies that are terrible. You guys, thanks for watching, but before we go, here's quick thoughts. Like I say, if you want to stick with the true Fist of the North Star, stick with the 1986 Fist of the North Star anime movie. Now, that is the real deal. Not the live-action one, because this one's kind of a train wreck. Hope to subscribe for content. My anime plan link in the description down below. You can share this video on your Twitter and Facebook. If you have a Twitter and Facebook account, be sure to give this video a thumbs up by clicking the like button on this video. Please leave it in the comments suggesting about your thoughts on the live-action Fist of the North Star by leaving the comment section below on this video. Please subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel. Click on my notifications bell and check out my videos that I'm uploading as well, because this is my first episode on movies that are terrible. And I would like to thank Gabriel Sparza for suggesting me to do a rant on the live-action Fist of the North Star. And that's all I have to say. So this is RuRoniK95 saying thank you for watching my rant on Fist of the North Star on movies that are terrible. I'm glad you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you soon for the next episode on movies that are terrible, because next episode is Dragon Ball Evolution rant. This is RuRoniK95 signing off, and thank you for watching my rant on the live-action Fist of the North Star for today on movies that are terrible.